Hey, hello everyone, welcome to this video. In this video, we are going to write some codes which are based on looping statements. So let's quickly get started. See, let's start with the first statement. The first statement goes like this. Write a program to print all even numbers between 1 to 100 using while loop. Okay, so basically we need to write a program which prints all the even numbers which are between 1 to 100 range using while loop. Okay, it's very simple statement. Let's quickly get started. So I'll include the header files. I'll write hash include here. Let's include iostream. Then let's use standard namespace. So I'll write using namespace std, and then let's write our main function. So int main return 0 blah blah blah. Okay, so this is our basic code template. Now we have to write a while loop which runs for 1 to 100 range. Okay, so we need to create a while loop which runs from 1 and it goes till 100. So how we can do it? It's very simple. What I can do is I can create one integer variable, let's say with name I. I'll initialize it with 1. Okay, and then I'll write a while loop, and in the condition I write while I is less than equal to 100. I hope you remember the syntax of while loop. So in while loop header, you just need to write the condition. That's it. Okay. So my variable is I. It's initialized with 1. The condition is I is less than equal to 100. So till the time my I is less than equal to 100, this while loop will run. Okay. And now inside the while loop body, this is my while loop body. Here what I'll do is in every iteration, I'll increment I by 1. So I'll write I plus plus. So in every iteration, I will get incremented by 1. Okay, so that's it. So if I print I over here now, if I write cout I over here followed by endl, let's see what happens. So I'll quickly compile this code. Name of file is 06 programs1.cpp. Let's execute this. You can see all the numbers between 1 to 100 are getting printed. Okay, so now basically we are able to print all the numbers between 1 to 100 range. Okay, now according to the problem statement, what we need to do is we just need to print even numbers. Right now we are printing all the numbers, but now we need to filter out the odd numbers. So how we can do it? So over here I can write one if statement, and I can say that if my I mod 2, if this is equal to 0, that means my I is an even number, then and then only print I. Otherwise don't do anything. Okay, otherwise don't print anything. Okay, so I'll now clear the terminal. Okay, shit, what just happened? Okay, let's clear the terminal. Let's compile it once again and let's execute now. You can see now it's just printing the even numbers. Okay, now we are not printing any odd number, we are just printing even numbers on the screen, and that's how you can write a program to print even numbers in the given range. Now this program is actually very bad. Okay, it's very badly written. I'll explain you why. See over here, the use case is to print all the even numbers between 1 to 100. Okay, now we know what is the first number in this range, which is an even number, and it's nothing but 2, right? So we can say that 2 is the first even number in this range. So instead of initializing I with 1, what we can do is we can initialize I with 2. Okay, and over here what we are doing, we are incrementing I by 1. Okay, in every iteration we are incrementing I by 1, but instead of incrementing I by 1, what we'll do is we'll increment I by 2. So I'll write I is equal to I plus 2. So in every iteration I will get incremented by 2. So now you don't need to write this if condition, because by default I is initialized with 2, and in every iteration we are adding 2 to it, so we will get next even number. So the first even number is 2, 2 plus 2 is 4, so next time I will be 4. Okay, now next time I will become 6, then it will become 8, then it will become 10, and now we have got rid of multiple conditions from the code. Okay, now let's clear the terminal. Let's compile this code once again. Let's execute it. You can see we are getting the same output. Okay, so always remember, it's not necessary that in every loop you need to increment the variable just by 1. Okay, it depends on the scenario. Like you saw in this case, we incremented value of I by 2 in every iteration. Okay, so depending on the scenario you can decide your update expression. That's why we call it as update expression. We don't call it as just increment by one expression. We can write any expression that we want. We can increment our variable according to the use case. In this case, it's better if we increment value of I by 2 in every iteration, so that by default we'll get the next even number, and we don't need to write any condition to check whether the number is even or odd, because we know it's going to be even number. Okay, so I hope you are clear with this problem statement. It was very simple. You can pause the video, take a look at this code, and practice it on your side. Okay, now let's move to the next problem statement. So yeah, over here, so the next problem statement goes like this. We have to write a program to find sum of all the numbers between 1 to n, okay, using for loop. So basically we have to write a program which will run from 1 to n, and n will be given by user. Let's say, okay, we are taking value of n from the user, and then whatever value of n we are getting, let's say we get value of n as 50, then we need to find the sum of 1 to 50. So it will be like this: 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5, so on till plus 50. Okay, and whatever will be the sum, we need to display that sum on the screen. So this is the problem statement. So let's quickly get started. Let's comment out this code now because we don't need it. Okay, again, let me include the header files. Let's include the standard namespace as well. Then let's create a main function. Again, let's write return 0 here. Okay, again, let's write a for loop which runs from 1 to n. Okay, so let's create one I variable over here. Let's initialize it with 1. Then I will be less than n. Okay, or I'll say less than equal to n, where n is going to be another variable. So I'll declare it over here, and let's accept the value of n from the user. So I'll write cout enter, let's say n, and then let's take it from the user. So I'll write c in n. Okay, so basically my I will start from 1 and it will go till n. Okay, and now in every iteration we have to increment I by 1 because we need to calculate sum of all the numbers. Okay, so over here we need to get all the numbers. That's why in every iteration we'll increment I by 1. Okay, and that's it. This is the for loop header, and this is going to be my body. So let's first run the for loop. So I'll just print I over here. Let's see if it works well, and then we'll continue with the next part of the problem statement, which is finding the sum. So now what we'll do is, let's clear the terminal, let's compile this code, and let's execute this. You can see it is asking us to enter value of n. Let's enter some small value. Let's enter 5. You can see it is printing numbers from 1 to 5. Okay, if we enter some different value, let's say if we enter 100, then you can see it's printing number from 1 to 100. If we enter 6, then it will print number from 1 to 6. Okay, so this for loop is working as per our expectations. It is printing the numbers from 1 to n, where n is the number which is entered by the user. Okay, now the next task is to find the sum. Okay, sum of the numbers that we are generating in the for loop. Now how we can find the sum? So let's understand. So for that, let me copy these numbers. Let's put them in the comments. Okay, so these are our numbers. Okay, 1 2 3 4 5 6. Let's imagine this is our number. These are our numbers, and we need to calculate their sum. So how we can calculate the sum? Let's say we have one variable which is sum variable, and it's initialized with 0. Okay, so we have some variable which is initialized with 0. Okay, now whenever we'll get the first number, what we can do is we can add this number to the sum variable. Okay, to the old value of the sum variable, and update the sum variable value with the old value plus the number. Okay, so let's take the example. See, right now my sum is 0. So 0 plus 1 is 1. So let's update the sum value with the new value, which is 1. So sum will become 1. Okay, then the next number that we will get is 2. So current value of sum is 1. 1 plus 2, it is 3. So sum will become 3. Okay, now next number is 3. So 3 plus 3 is 6. So sum will become 6. Next number is 4. 4 plus 6 is 10. So sum will become 10. Then next number is 5. 10 plus 5 is 15. Sum will become 15. And next number is 6. So 15 plus 6 is 21. So sum will become 21. So sum variable basically acts like a buffer. And whatever number we get, we just add that number to that buffer. And basically that buffer will store the sum of all the numbers. So that's the simple logic. So let's implement this. So let's create a sum variable over here. Let's initialize it with 0. Why I'm initializing it with 0? Because 0 is a very special number, and if you add anything to 0, then whatever we are adding to 0, that number will be the result. Okay, and that's the reason I'm initializing sum with 0, so that whatever is your first number will be the next value of sum. So in this case, my first number is 1, so sum will become 1 when you will add 1 to sum variable, because the initial value of sum is 0. Okay, and over here what I can do is I can update the sum with old value of sum plus the I value. Okay, so I am writing sum is equal to sum plus I, or you can also write it like this, sum plus equal to I. This is also same. Okay, this is also similar. So in this way you can update your sum, and once this loop gets finished, your sum variable or sum buffer will have the sum of all the numbers which are present in that range. So we don't need this cout statement now, so I'm just commenting it. So over here at the end you will write sum is, and then let's print value of sum variable. So I'll write sum over here followed by endl. Okay, and now let's clear the terminal. Let's compile and execute this code. Let's enter value of n as 6 because we know the answer. So if n is 6, then you can see we are getting sum as 21. Okay, now let's enter some different value. Let's enter n as, let's say, 100. You can see we are getting sum as 5050. Okay, 5050 is the sum in this case. So in this way the code works. Again, you can pause the video for a second and you can go through the code and just try to understand the code, how it is working. If you have any doubts, if you are not understanding it clearly, rewatch the video once again, rewatch this part of the video once again. You will surely get this part. Okay, and then what you can do is you can take pen and paper with you and then just try to dry run the code, how the variables value are getting changed and how the code is running all together, and then you will get the idea about how this code is actually working. Okay, so it's very simple, very straightforward code. Okay, now there is one more way in which you can write this code, and I'm going to explain you that way because that way is even more simpler than this one. Okay, so actually if you remember from the mathematics class, we have a formula to calculate sum of numbers in a given range. Okay, so if you have a given range and if you want to calculate sum of the numbers in that range, then we directly have one formula which is something like this. You have to write, let me write it in comment. See, sum is basically equal to n into n plus 1 whole divided by 2. So this is the direct formula to get sum of a given range. Okay, so if you write n into n plus 1 divided by 2, where your range starts from 1, that is the precondition for this formula, then in this case you will get the answer, you will get the direct result without even using any loop. Okay, so let's do this. So what I'll do is I'll write this cout statement once again, and over here I'll write this formula instead of some variable, and let's see if it works. So let's compile this code and let's execute it, and let's enter value of n as 6. You can see we are getting sum is 21. Let's enter value of n as 100. You can see at both the places we are getting the same answer. Okay, so basically you don't actually need to write this for loop. Even without writing this for loop, this code can be written just by writing this mathematical formula that we I think we learned in our school, like in 5th or 6th standard of our schooling. So this is a simple formula to calculate sum of a range which starts from 1 and goes till n. Okay, so I hope you are clear with the second problem statement that we just discussed. So let's move to the next problem statement, and before that let me comment out the entire code from here. cool. Let's move to the next problem statement. Okay, so the next problem statement goes like this. We have to write a program to print multiplication table of any given number using a do while loop. So basically I'm trying to cover all the loops over here. So you saw in first problem statement we use while loop, in second problem statement we use for loop, and now in the third problem statement we are going to use do while loop. So let's quickly get started. See, what we need to do is we need to print multiplication table of any given number. Let's say the given number is 3, then we need to print the multiplication table of 3. So basically we need to print 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, so on the screen. Very simple problem statement once again. Okay, let's add the headers, iOS stream, then namespace, std, then int main. See, I hope after so many videos, I hope now you have got this code in your mind, so you can write this code snippet even if I wake you up in the night and ask you to write this one. I hope you can quickly write that. Okay, so this is a basic code snippet. Again, now what we need to do is we need to write a do while loop. So I hope you remember the syntax. We need to write do followed by do while loop body, and then you can write while, and inside this parenthesis you can write condition of the while. Okay, so let's first understand how we can print the table of any given number. So before that, let's accept a number from user. So I'll write int number. Let's say enter a number, and now let's accept the number. So I'll write cin number. Okay, see, basically let's say the number is 3. So the first multiplication that you will be printing is 3 into 1. Then the second multiplication will be 3 into 2. Then the third multiplication will be 3 into 3, and the last multiplication will be 3 into 10. Let's take another number. Let's say you have to print multiplication table of 17. Then it's the same thing actually. You need to print 17 into 1, then 17 into 2, then 17 into 3, and so on till 17 into 10. Okay, so this first part is fixed, which is our number. Okay, see this number which we are accepting from the user. The only part which is changing is the second part. Okay, 17 into 1, 17 into 2, 17 into 3. So this second part is changing. It can be 1, 2, 3, and it can go till 10. Okay, so what I can do is I can create another variable. Let's say I. Let's initialize it with 1. Okay, and in every iteration what I'll do is I'll just print number into I, followed by ENDL. Okay, and after printing this, I'll increment value of I. Okay, see, I'm printing number into I, and then I'm incrementing I. So initially my I is 1, so it will print number into 1. So let's say our number is 3, so it will print 3 into 1 on the screen, and then my I will become 2. Next iteration, it will print 3 into 2, 6 on the screen, and now my I will become 3. Then it will print 3 into 3, 9 on the screen, and so on. So when we have to stop? So when my I has become 10, at that time I need to terminate the loop. Okay, so over here what I can do is I can write if my I is less than or equal to 10. In this case I need to keep the loop running, otherwise I have to stop. So this is going to be my condition. Your I needs to be less than or equal to 10. When your I becomes less than or equal to 10, your loop is going to run. When it exceeds 10, when it becomes greater than 10, then your I or your loop is going to terminate. So let's clear the terminal. Let's compile this code once again, and let's execute this. Let's enter 3. You can see it's printing table of 3. Isn't that cool? Let's enter 17 because 17 has very difficult table. So you can see it is printing the table of 17. Okay, multiplication table of 17. You can enter any number and it will print the table. If you want to see the table of 99, you can see it using this small program that we have written over here. See, again, let me revise you how this code is executing. We are accepting one input from the user, that is the number whose multiplication table we need to print. Then we are creating one variable with name I, and it's initialized with 1. In every iteration we are printing number into I. So I is 1 initially, and then in every iteration it is getting incremented by 1. Okay, and till the point your I is less than or equal to 10, you are running this loop. Once your I exceeds 10, then your loop is going to be terminated. And this is the do while loop syntax. You first need to write do keyword, followed by do while loop body, followed by while keyword, followed by condition inside the parenthesis. Okay, so I hope you got all the things that we covered in this video. I hope this was very helpful for you. I hope it helped you to revise all the concepts that we have covered so far, the syntax and other part of the loop. So